I've been in real estate since about 2005, and in 2019, I launched my own firm. At one point in my career, I was licensed in 6 different states and found that if you dive down to a geographic niche and some product specialization, that's a huge benefit and it makes life easier. I got started shortly after college. My dad was in real estate, so I was helping him find some deals, and then the market took a downturn. He retired. I was like, well, I like this path, so I'm going to keep on going.
Want to attract and convert more leads? Want to learn how digital PR, branding, and SEO can establish and build your brand identity? Welcome to the Market Movers Building Brands and Links with Linkify podcast. We answer these questions and help you ramp up your brand visibility and credibility. Let's cut through the noise and make your business the talk of the town. We're your hosts, Nick and Chris. Let's get this show on the road.
Welcome to the Market Movers podcast. Today, I am delighted to be joined by Joe Serafin, owner and principal broker of Serafin Real Estate, to break down how data, AI-driven analysis, and precision marketing are reshaping commercial deal-breaking in Northern Virginia. Really good to have you on. Welcome to the show, Joe.
Chris, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be on.
Okay, Joe, why don't you start just by telling us a little bit about yourself, how you got started in the real estate business?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Joe Serafin. I'm the owner and founder of Serafin Real Estate. I've been in real estate since about 2005. And in 2019, I launched my own firm, Serafin Real Estate, very specifically located here in Northern Virginia, Fairfax County, Loudoun County, Prince William. At one point in my career, I was licensed in 6 different states and found that if you dive down to a geographic niche and some product specialization, that's a huge benefit and it makes life easier. So I got started shortly after college. My dad was actually in real estate, so I was helping him find some deals. And then the market took a downturn. He retired. I was like, well, I like this path, so I'm going to keep on going.
Okay, very nice. Yeah, I think niching down is definitely something which helps you focus. Were you in 6 different states, were you, at one point?
At one point, yeah. So
Wow.
around the DC metro, I'm born and raised around here. So it was Virginia, DC, Maryland, New Jersey, Connecticut, Florida. I was doing a lot of work with the Carlisle Group and representing them on some multifamily deals. So it was traveling a lot.
Yeah.
And this was in the 2008, 2009 time frame. Then kids come along, family comes along, and travel is much harder. So decided to then narrow down, and that was when I decided to launch the firm as well.
Okay, awesome. Joe, before we dive in, we've had quite a few like independent brokerage owners on the show from a residential real estate side. Could you just, for anyone that isn't sure, especially for like my UK audience, what the difference between what they do is and what you do is?
Sure. So to break it down, very simple, we sell buildings. So anything that is not something like a single family home, a townhouse, a condo, is usually going to be a piece of commercial real estate. So it's where businesses operate out of. It's where investors who want long-term tenants focus in on. So think of them as any of your retail shops or your Starbucks or your pharmacies, Walgreens, CVS, to your childcare centers, to your big office buildings, to your industrial warehouse buildings where Amazon stores all of the things that we get on a daily basis. Those are all commercial properties, and that's what we focus on.
Okay, and then one quick question from me, just out of a personal interest: does the residential real estate and the commercial real estate US markets move in tangent, or are they completely separated from different factors?
They can move somewhat in tangent, but with a little bit of actually a delay.
Oh,
So
okay.
when you see some commercial development going on, maybe they're building a new shopping center, you can expect housing to shortly follow 6 months, a month later, right? Because people will be moving into that area. So while they don't move in exact same timeline, and the markets are delayed a little bit, but if the commercial market is doing good, the residential market is likely doing well, and then vice versa as well, right? And then if you look at interest rates and what's happening with the Fed, that's affecting residential mortgages. It's also affecting commercial financing. So there is a correlation between the two in terms of the brokerage. I know you said you had a lot of independent brokerage owners on there with residential. that's where it gets a little bit more different, actually something like very different in terms of the marketing of the properties. With the MLS is a huge online data storage of residential homes,
Hmm.
essentially, that are being marketed to sell. Uh, Commercial real estate is much more targeted. So if we have, let's say, a industrial warehouse to sell, well, I'm not going to be reaching out to office owners or special purpose owners. It's going to be very targeted marketing with that. And that there's definitely a difference in there. And I think it's kind of an art. It's definitely where specialization in the product type pays off as well, because you build that database around that particular specialty.
Okay, cool. And we're definitely going to be diving into that as we go through. I imagine
Sure.
data becomes a big part of that. I imagine this has become particularly exciting for you now with the onset of AI as well, which we are
There we
going
go. Yeah, I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting
Yeah,
for it to dive into it. Absolutely. Yeah, AI has been a huge help in all the data that we have.
yeah, I bet. Is it one of those things that you've just like thought, okay, this is here now, we got to use it, but now you're using it, you're like, oh, this is if we're at the forefront of this, then we can crush it. That's how it feels for me in our
A
industry.
100%.
Yeah.
Look, I am really big on time efficiency, and I do not have a tech background, but I love what tech can actually do in terms of utilizing the time and making your time more efficient. So, with all the data that's out there, I mean, a lot of it's public knowledge right now that you can get from public sources. It didn't used to be that way. But with all this data, it's hard to analyze it. I
Mm,
mean, in Loudoun County, for example, there's 5,882 commercial properties today. That's a lot of commercial properties just
mm,
in one county. Certain things are moving one direction, certain things are moving the other. And if you're using AI to help you analyze all of these properties by keeping it up to date and maybe, building a custom GPT or a gem and Gemini or
hmm
something like that, then the better prepared that you're going to be knowing that data, and then the better forecast you can make. And what does that all serve? It all boils down to how well can we help our clients. And if we're able to have some market knowledge, have AI help us decipher that and break that market knowledge down, we could advise our clients better. That's
hmm
what it all boils down to.
Yeah, 100% agree. Um, and I like the fact that you said you're not from a tech background as well. I mean, I'm not
No.
either. Obviously, a tech interest, but not a tech
Yeah.
background. But the things that we can do as like non-tech specialists is just insane. Uh,
Yeah.
okay, so how has Northern Virginia commercial real estate shifted, and what are sellers and investors, do you think, like misunderstanding right now?
Gotcha. Well, there's a recalibration, right after COVID, or even during COVID. It's not really big news. Everybody kind of knows the office market took a hit. People weren't going into the office. The companies were finding that they didn't need that large of office space because nobody was coming in. So the office market in general, in terms of the price per square foot, things weren't moving, things weren't being sold, things weren't being built. This year has shown a shift in that, with people coming back to the office, and a recalibration of, let's take office property, for example. Class A office property, the trophy properties, the ones that have the amenities where it's, you go to work, but you could also go to the gym and you could do, have your coffee there and lunch there. Those properties are actually doing quite well,
Mm,
that we've seen. It's the Class C, the ones that have been dilapidated, been around for years with no capital improvements. Those are your tougher ones. Those are the ones where you hear, 10 years ago, it sold for $400, $500 a square foot. And, just this past year, it sold for $95 a square foot.
mm,
Those are going to be your Class Cs. We've actually seen a nice shift. I'll give you an example. Loudoun County, the price per square foot has gone up. The previous year in 2024 was $293 a square foot, market wide across all asset types. This year is $352 a square foot.
mm,
So that's a significant increase. How we calculate cap rates, for the investors, or how investors look at properties that are leased and they want a return, is by the cap rate. The higher the cap rate, lower the price. And this year we've seen a cap rate actually decrease from around 6.5 to about 6.30%, which is showing a shift of investor confidence
mm.
now changing in the market. So look, I'm an optimist by trade. So
Yeah.
I always am going to look, but us as a company, we actually are coming off 2025 as our best year ever.
Okay. That's good.
substantially.
Yeah, and you're probably going to get a delay in those type Cs. If the type A's are slowly starting to shift now, then that's going to slowly instill confidence, I imagine, on the purchase and renovation of those type Cs as that market picks up.
You got it. Exactly. I mean, there's all different types of investors, right? There's investors that are passive. They maybe are doctors, physicians. They have a good salary, but they have long hours. They don't have the time to renovate a property or put money into a property. They want something that's leased out. They could collect mailbox money, but it's an intangible asset. Then you have your higher risk takers, usually a little bit younger, but that want to put money into something that they could get, quote unquote, a deal, put some money into it, rent it, and now their asset has gone up substantially. Take a property that's vacant that you could pick up for $150 a square foot. Well, as soon as you put some capital in and you actually lease it at market rate, that property value can double. And so they've made instant millions
Return,
overnight because of the equity that they now have of the property with some work. It kind of depends on everybody's appetite, or, more averse to risk. And then you have your developers, right? Buying raw land, entitling it, and developing it. Big risk, huge return most of the time, or some of the time, not all the time.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of deals, then how are you finding quality assets now?
Yep.
And what proprietary data beats that public data?
Sure. So it's going back to specialization in a niche. Okay. So to give you an example, one of the niches that we fell into right before I started the firm was the early education center. So think the preschools, think the kindercares, the Primrose, the Goddards, and all of that. So there's not much data out on these specific assets. So when we were first started kind of working in this niche, we had to gather our own data. And there are some public records, but more and more as we did these deals, a lot of them being confidential because, well, there's some obvious reasons why they're confidential. I mean, you're dealing with children at a school, and parents getting concerned if the school's for sale, even though it's so you're not going to find it publicly out there. So we had to build our own database of who is actually buying this type of thing. Now we use different softwares, like of course we use CoStar, of course we use Reonomy, Crexi, all of these to find property owner information. And then we actually went the old-fashioned way with good old-fashioned letters, hard mail.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were going to say phone calls, but yeah, that is old school.
Phone calls, of course.
Yeah.
But hard mail has a long shelf life. It's unbelievable, actually, how that worked. So as we were marketing some of these properties confidentially that way, well, we were able to build a database. That database in that specific niche is over 4,000 active investors, owners of that childcare asset. Well, now we have a custom GPT built that tracks this market. I mean, we do have to update it every once in a while, but we have another custom GPT that actually shows us the zoning in all of the counties. So we're on a phone with somebody and they're like, hey, I want to do this at this building. Okay, we could quickly look up the zoning. The zoning ordinances in each county are thousands of pages. But I could sit here, type in there, hey, does this childcare use work at this property at 123 Main Street? And I'll have an answer within 30 seconds. So I sound very knowledgeable speaking to them. Now we've gotten to know that more and more, but it's a specific niche where now we could better forecast that market. We have appraisers reaching out to us about that data because it's proprietary to us. We have, let's say somebody's coming from out of state. Oh, I see that, or what I deal with in my market is childcare centers trade at $300 a square foot. Well, no, I could tell you in Northern Virginia, it's $489.02 a square foot and $38.50 a square foot for triple net leases. And here's the data to show that. So,
okay, that's awesome. Let's get a bit more granular. Custom GPT. So this is inside of OpenAI's ChatGPT. For those that don't know, custom GPTs are super awesome. They're really powerful. I'm interested to know, how are you building those? Are you uploading to the knowledge base, like all of these zoning documents? And then when you interact with those custom GPTs, are you just asking those questions sort of like whilst you've got the client on the phone, or just getting those answers quickly back for an email response? And what does that look like compared to well, I'd say 10 years ago, but like 3 years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago, we didn't have this technology.
It was unbelievable. So the zoning that I was just
Mm,
mentioning or the custom GPTs, those were the very first custom GPTs that we built. Now we
mhm,
have, dozens of them. But when you're dealing with commercial real estate, zoning is always one of the main questions. So in the past, take 3 years ago
mm,
or before, prior to that, you're on the phone with somebody or you have an email and they ask about is this use allowed at your listing that you
mhm,
have? We would have to dig through, find that particular zoning ordinance, look it up. Let's say it's not there, but then it'll refer you to another section
mm,
within the zoning ordinance. And it's like, okay, so what this allows us to do, and when we built it was we uploaded that zoning ordinance into the knowledge base. Okay. And then did some training on it and tested it and then went live just with the team and I. So it's shared. We have a team account and then I have my personal, GPT account. And so everybody has access to it. So all the team members have access to it where, yes, if we're on the phone, it'll give that short answer very quick. Or I may say, hold on one moment, I'll take a quick look and could get back to them on an email. It could give then we could get even more specific on the
mm,
information, even provide what the buffer zones, or if it's a special exception, what does that special exception process look like in a given county? So the way, and again, as I mentioned earlier in this podcast, the time efficiency. What
mm,
used to take, hey, I'll be back to you in a few hours or tomorrow, depending on how the day looked, we could give that answer right away. And it's not that we just sound knowledgeable. I mean, it's knowledge because we're not allowing that custom GPT to do a web search. We're only allowing it to use what data that we provided it.
mhm,
So Notebook LM's another one that we've been, a lot with. And I think I mentioned, prior to the call, we run a lot of the business off Google Workspace. So we're diving more and more into Gemini. And I actually right before this call, I just saw, Gemini, catching up to OpenAI.
mhm,
So
mhm.
huge proponent of all of it. I've probably tried it all. So
Yeah, analysis paralysis. For
yeah,
those that don't know,
yeah,
Notebook LM is one of the Google Labs technologies that like sort of works in a similar way to Gemini, but it's more of like a learning tool. But I think there's talks of like integrating it fully into Gemini now. And yeah, to agree with your point, Gemini is I'm actually using Gemini much more frequently now than any
me
of the
too.
other 5 paid subscription plans that I have for
Yeah,
AI tools.
you and I are similar. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I think I still have Midjourney as a subscription.
Cancel
So
that. That's actually a hard one to find how to cancel.
is it okay? Maybe that's why I haven't done that one
Yeah,
yet. But
yeah.
with Nano Banano and even the new version of ChatGPT, the images are actually quite impressive.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
100%. The pro quick thinking, like long thinking on the image generation is stunning. Just remember to remove that right hand side watermark if you want to look extra
Oh yeah.
professional.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, that's right. That's
So,
right.
Joe, do you think that you are at what could be deemed to be a short-term limited advantage when everybody else sort of catches up? Albeit it seems like, those of us that are deep in the AI space feel as if like it's been here for years, but I'm sure many people are just dabbling, and I'm sure lots of people have not even really started, anything near building things like custom GPTs. Do you think that having those fast, deeply knowledgeable responses to those sorts of zoning questions has increased your conversion rate and given you an advantage over other commercial real estate owners in the state?
1,000%. And zoning is just one example. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we use that for the predictive analytics, right? Quickly, we put out a quarterly market report and we'll have our year in review. And I've been working on that. We'll come out with that shortly. And that, with the help of AI, something that would take weeks or any other commercial broker, probably not even doing it. I mean, it's a nice magazine. Now, it's a magazine that is very technology and data driven, but it's a hard mailer on a nice piece that goes out to hundreds of the owners and investors in our area here. Do I think that others are doing it or using tech, other commercial brokers? They're using it to an extent. But look, I've always been transparent. Every year, I'm asked to be on an annual speaker at a commercial real estate conference. Now, these are competitors
Hmm.
of mine, but I give them almost my playbook on tech, on AI, how I'm using it, what kind of marketing and lead generation systems and everything like that. And you know what I take from that? Like, because I've been asked the question, why are you giving away your stuff? Because I don't think a lot of them will use it,
Hmm.
for one. And by the time they do use it, or I'm going to already be on the next two or
Hmm.
three things ahead of them because I am in tune with the technology to make, all this stuff easier, better, more efficient, more accurate. So maybe it'll one day bite me in the, what, but I've been
No,
doing this for 20 years and it's been okay. So
yeah,
yeah,
no, I love it, and I agree with you completely as well. I think there'll always be a tiny percentage of people that will listen to your every word and they'll go and do it, which is great because that's really you want to give this stuff away so that you're open. Like, that's what we do as
yeah,
well. Like, we teach people how to go and build their own digital PR links, how to get featured and quoted in Inman and Realtor and Architectural Digest. And I'm sure a tiny proportion do, a huge proportion don't. And then, a sweet proportion will like buy from us to do it for them. What
yeah.
I'm really intrigued about is, what you touched on then with this weekly, I think you said, magazine. So this
Oh, it's a quarterly magazine.
quarterly
Yeah.
quarterly magazine. So you're presenting current market opportunities, is it, to investors and buyers?
It's more than that. So it's about a 32 to 40 page magazine on a like one of those soft cover, the highest quality cover that you can get, and it usually breaks down the quarterly stats. So in Northern Virginia, and we break it down. So it kind of starts with some commentary from me. It'll go into the Northern Virginia market as a whole. How many properties have sold in the quarter compared to the previous quarter or previous year? What is the cap rate? What's the price per square foot? And then we'll get even more granular in it to the property type. How many office properties sold? How many flex properties sold? And compared to the previous year, it's really good for me, honestly, because when I'm going through this data, looking it up, yeah, I do use AI for it, but obviously I'm reading it and
Mm,
I'm putting this together. I've thought about, I'm a huge proponent of who, not how, but this is something that it really helps me out. So I thought about offloading this to a third party and all that, but I really get to know the
yeah.
market data because I'm looking at it and putting this whole thing together. So then it will get into, we've got to be somewhat, our featured closings, get featured in it.
Hmm.
We do feature our listings in it. But then there's usually a blurb on maybe giving some insight on how we determine a commercial property's value. What do we look at? What's our process? And then we may show what our price per square foot is compared to the rest of them are, so it's a bit of a plug, but we try to humanize it. It is very efficient data. And we also do maybe biannual reports on specific asset classes, early education, for example, flex, and those are really, really granular to the property type, but
Okay.
all in Northern Virginia though.
Yeah. Okay. So two parts to my next question then. The quarterly magazine, just quickly, it's a print magazine. You said,
It is. Yeah, well, it's
yeah,
print and digital.
print and
So,
digital.
but yeah, the print, obviously is mailed out to a few hundred people. The digital is available on our website or we email it out.
Okay, that's perfect. So, firstly, production of that, I think that's great that you're keeping that as, because it benefits you in like staying up to date with everything. Also, it allows you to stay on top of like hallucinations as and when you're
Mhm.
putting this stuff together. I think, yeah, I can't remember if you mentioned this pre-call or when we were chatting on email before the show about the use of Gamma to
Yeah.
put this together. So, I'd love to just know a little bit about like the production in terms of like AI, and then a second part to that is the the purpose of the quarterly magazine, is that to grow your personal and business authority in order to attract business? Do you have like specific calls to actions within that? And if you are generating business as a result of that quarterly publication, are you tracking that?
Yes.
So,
So
it's out of my
I
brain.
know
So
it's loaded, but I'm going to try to answer everything. So I will give you an example. So the magazine goes out to current clients, past clients, but also our research on who we want to be as a client. Look, we
Mhm,
focus middle market. Okay. So we're anywhere from 2 million to 50 million per transaction. So I'm looking at the owners of multiple pieces of commercial property.
mhm,
That's my ideal client. They own multiple assets. That's what they do. Usually $20 million portfolio or more, $5 million each, $3 million each or so, or it could be $20 million each. They're getting a copy of the magazine. Usually the hard copy. All right. It's worth
mhm,
the cost.
mhm,
And I could tell you because of that, we landed and we're closing on a $14 million property in about 2 weeks.
mhm,
And that was a direct result of that physical magazine being sent out because a lot of the digital is great. Digital gets out there, right? And the word out there. The hard copy has shelf life. It's very hard for somebody to throw away. I mean, each one of these is $20 or so. So it's very hard for anybody to throw away a nice looking magazine. I've kept
mhm.
some that I probably, they're sitting over there that I read, months ago. So and also, you think about who's the owner of these types of properties. They're not going to usually be a 20-year-old, 25-year-old, 30-year-old. Usually they're going to be old school. They're
Mm,
the ones that still read the newspaper,
mm.
right? And so they're getting a physical copy of that. Now, to touch on the use of Gamma. I love Gamma. I don't know any stats on the public on how many people use it or anything like that, but that is one that I'm shocked that more people don't use. I have had classes or instructions for my team to use it because you get all this data and now you need to visually present it. All right. And I could take tons of market data and outline and upload it into Gamma, or maybe I could go to ChatGPT or Gemini first and say, give me an outline for Gamma. And just so Gamma's a AI visual presentation tool where you can upload PDFs or, Google Drive files or your own outline, and it gives you a visual presentation that you could either export to a PDF, to a PNG, to a slideshow, whatever. Those annual conferences that I was mentioning. Now, I've been doing them for 6, 7 years. Prior to Gamma, putting together a presentation, it's hours, right? You got
Mhm,
to give it thought. You got to get the visuals all right and everything like that. Once I have what I know I'm going to speak about, and I put together an outline, Gamma could put that thing together for me in an hour or two, and I
mhm.
just make a couple tweaks. So I love it. I really do love it. I mean, all of the speaking events and even sometimes the market data that we have to present. I use Gamma. I mean, it's just very
I-
easily and visually appealing.
Is that what you're using to send direct to the physical printers? The final
The final
export
piece is
is
of the magazine, not on
mm,
the magazine. The magazine, we're using Canva a
okay.
lot, but we are using AI components. Like, so for example, we may have Gemini or ChatGPT help us with the market data. Then we're making that more visual appealing in Canva. So Gamma is typically used for, let's say I'm giving a presentation tomorrow on what 2025 look like. Well, I'm not going to do the magazine. The magazine's, an 8.5 by 11, portrait, style or whatnot. But I need to show this market data in a slideshow kind of component. Well, I'm
Mhm,
going to take that outline, or maybe even the magazine that we just did, upload that entire magazine by PDF and say, okay, I need, 5 slides, very detailed or concise or whatever, or visually appealing, and I'll see what it spits out from there. And I
yeah.
need it in 5 slides. Then it'll give that to me. Let's say it's not right. Maybe it doesn't have enough detail. Well, then I'll go back to the prompt and instead of concise, I'll say detailed
Mhm,
or extensive. And then it'll give me more information on
yeah.
that, more of the information that I provided it.
Okay, yeah. I've got Gamma and I've got Canva. I almost love them both. I actually
Yeah.
wish that there was a crossover between the two, because I find Gamma is unbelievably good at taking a bunch of information. So I speak at conferences. I'll often do like a 20 or 30-minute dictation. I'll take that dictation, put it into ChatGPT to give an outline. I'll then take that outline, put it into Gamma to give me a presentation. And for me, that's like almost there. But I find then if I really want to tweak the visuals or the edits, I find actually I could just maybe take half an hour and make the whole thing look really good in Canva. So it depends on how good I want it to look. But I think, I mean, if you came on again in 12 months' time, we'd probably be God knows where in terms of what these tools can do.
That's exactly right. I mean, one thing that I thought of with Gamma that I think they may have a beta right now. You know, we in commercial real estate we do a lot of offering memorandums,
Mm-hmm.
and but Gamma doesn't yet. I don't think have like a you could do a template of like your font and your brand, but not of your style. Like so, and so I'm thinking that eventually they'll actually get there where you have, let's say I have a company template for an offering memorandum for Serafin Real Estate that the whole team can use. Then that's what they use. So, you know, we enter in property data and all this stuff, and it puts out a very, what our standard is, template in a couple minutes, where offering memorandums, I mean, everything's gotten much better now, but offering memorandums used to take forever, days,
Yeah.
you know, and they still take a few hours, but maybe that few hours or 5 hours can be condensed to an hour or 30 minutes with Gamma. So, but I'm with you though. I don't like the AI component in Canva, honestly. I think, you know, like what they type with the text, I'd rather go to something that knows me and my business that I've trained already, use that, upload it into Canva. But Canva's amazing at the visual aspect of things.
Yeah. And guys, for those of you who are listening and you're hearing Joe, this is why he's not worried about giving away all of this stuff, because listen to how far ahead he is now in everything that he's used and tested, cross tools, doing one thing in one thing, testing another. In 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, it's going to be ahead. So you got to start now. You got to dive into these things now so that you can keep up, because it's just it's moving so quick.
It is, and it's so cool. I mean, just the time that it could save on everything. But I appreciate those words, though, Chris. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, as we come to the end, I want to talk just a little bit about maybe like inbound deal flow. You have a website, obviously. I'm wondering how much of a focus SEO is. And then obviously with AI visibility. So everybody, well, not everybody, but you know, it's a huge shift now in search behavior. Lots of people are having conversational searches inside of AI bots, which is often leading to much higher intent transactions at the end of those journeys. So to be a visible presence as a leader of commercial real estate in your area is significantly important, and probably going to be even more significantly important as time progresses. And we know that one of the driving forces of being visible inside of these LLMs is authority, brand authority, business authority. So tell me about how you're thinking about that as a company at Serafin.
Chris, I could probably speak to you all day, man. Like you're hitting on so many topics that I love. Look, as I said, I don't have a tech background, but I know that digital presence is extremely popular. So we got ahead of the game. I mean, we know when we focus on, you know, the AI outputs that it gives. You know, if you were to Google, let's say Google, who's the best commercial broker in Loudoun County? Who's the best commercial broker in Northern Virginia? I put everything down that we are going to pop up there, and I know we are because I test it. So, in terms of SEO and all of that, keywords, you know, so Serafin Real Estate, Serafin even. I mean, I bought my domain. We have a website for me that is connected to the company. So I was actually really, really happy because about 3-4 months ago, you know, you just Google your name and actually had a knowledge panel.
No, that's nice.
And that's an algorithm, you know, that you can't mess with. It's gone now for some reason. So I don't know what Google changed in their algorithm, but whatever. So I'm huge on the SEO component and pushing out content. So like good content. So yes, these market reports are great, but every time we sell a property, especially if it's a high profile property, we have a success story that goes along with it. The success story isn't just, hey, this sold for 7.9 million. It's no, what was the challenge of that? What was, the action that we took, and what was the result of that? And, maybe a client testimonial. Huge. Now, we are big LinkedIn users. So that's going on LinkedIn. That's going on the company Facebook page. That is going on our Google profile, the business profile page. But another big thing, and I'll throw out a shout out to Ed Winslow, who he's up in New York, and the top commercial broker in probably the world works with him. That's why I started working with him. Is proof stacking. It's basically press releases, right? So how are you to define yourself as an authority? Well, if you just sold a property for a high dollar amount and it was a tough property, announce it to the world. We just put out a press release yesterday, and then another one today about a success story. Now, those are picked up by USA Today, Business Insider. So if you're searching Loudoun County commercial real estate, Fairfax County commercial real estate, a news article is probably going to pop up on our press release. Now, in that press release, it definitely has my name. It definitely has the company name. It has some information about the property that we sold. And then other ones may pick up on that. Other news outlets that are more commercial real estate specific, CoStar or, Crexi or somebody like that, may pick up on them. So, and all of that combined is all linking back to me, the company. So it's just establishing credibility, trustworthiness, and proof.
Yeah.
Now,
You're feeding into that knowledge graph, which is I reckon probably the one sort of crossover between like SEO and AI SEO, or certainly what's going to be the future of this is how deeply ingrained you are within that broad knowledge graph. So if you're doing all of these things and you're doing all of these things well, I mean, it's like classic marketing, building authority, but online, so that you are being recognized by as an entity by these machines. So that's awesome.
One of the things that like the biggest compliment that I've gotten it a couple of times is like, wow, you all are everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, yes, that's how I want to be, everywhere around here, like it's good. And so and that's from all types of ages, so I know you said print is heavier in the older, but I mean, they're still looking online. And the credibility also lies on the reviews and things like that too. So I think we have a pretty good system set up. And, if I could advise any of your listeners or whatever, it's like the content, the SEO, don't be, don't hide it that you have a success. Announce it to the world, however you can. And, it'll get picked up eventually.
And then you get that touch point effect as well, don't you? So the old guy that's picked up the magazine, kept it on his desk for a month, and then sees you somewhere else. Oh, I'm sure I saw a magazine. And then he again picked that up, and then deals.
Even if they do throw away that expensive magazine, they saw my picture, they saw the logo, they saw the name, and then they'll get it again. They throw it away again, whatever. That's not the whole goal, that they keep it, right? Like, I don't care if it's framed in my office, but not there. I could care less. So, but if they call and it leads to that $14 million deal, great.
It's been awesome having you on. Anything interesting? What's next for Serafin in terms of like the future horizon of the business?
Well, we're looking forward to 2026. We're going to keep on going. We're going to keep on growing. We're going to keep on staying on top of all the tech advances and all that. I promise you, I will never be replaced by an AI generated bot to do this interview if you ever wanted to do it again. But again, we're excited for the future, and I really appreciate you having me on the show. You've got a terrific podcast. You guys know your stuff. I know that. So this has definitely been an honor. It's been a little bit different. It's not just a commercial real estate show. This is awesome. This is really, really been fun.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's lovely of you to say. And it's so true that, like, I mean, I'm having the same conversations with people from all industries, and, people that are just dabbling their toes in this sort of stuff, and people that are like doing a lot like you are. But I think it's the future of not just survival, but longevity of all businesses. Like, you've got to focus on this stuff. It's important. And those that do, they're not going to get left behind. They're going to thrive years into the future. That's what I believe.
Agree.
Yeah. Joe, for those that want to track you down, maybe they want to get on your mailing list and get your quarterly magazine. Maybe they want the real thing. Where can they find you? How can they track you down?
So the best way is on our website, serafinre.com. You could also email info@serafinre.com, I'll give you our office number, 703-261-4809. And chances are, if you click on the website, you'll probably get some sort of
Pop up.
mailing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Joe, thank you so much. It's been great.
Thank you so much, Chris.
Take care.
Take care.